The only game from Sunday in the Midwest was Kentucky against Illinois, because in that region, Purdue, Houston, and Tennessee all advanced on Saturday. This game had good potential. It wasn't as good as it should have been. Kentucky wins 84-75. Mark Pope moves along, and in doing so, we've got an interesting trend here. We can talk about the game, but how about this? There are, for the first time in the history of the tournament, this has never happened before, at least 4 of the Sweet 16 teams, or the 4 of the last 16 teams standing, are coached by first-year coaches at those schools. And not just that, this is what makes it unprecedented. Every single school the previous year either didn't make the tournament or didn't win a tournament game. That is Michigan under Dusty May. That is John Calipari at Arkansas. That is Kevin Young at BYU. And that is Mark Pope and his Kentucky Wildcats. And Kentucky set what I believe is now considered a first. This team didn't return a single point from last year. There has never been a team that made the Sweet 16 that did not have at least 1 point returning from the season before. Mark Pope has done it at Kentucky. That is mighty impressive. What did you make of what the Wildcats did against Brad Underwood's Fighting Illini?
Well, what you just laid out is a little something that I call the Jack Golke effect, right? Because Jack Golke sinks Kentucky in the first round of the 2024 NCAA tournament. As a result, fan furor in Lexington picks up. John Calipari starts looking for an exit. He lands at Arkansas. Mark Pope goes from BYU to Kentucky, and then Kevin Young ends up at BYU. All 3 are somehow better off now because Jack Golke had the night of his life in the first round of the 2024 NCAA tournament. I mean, how amazing is that domino effect? I wrote yesterday that if Kentucky didn't win today in the second round, that John Calipari would have won the breakup, when in reality, I mean, all sides have won this breakup. But if you were looking for a winner and Cal's in the Sweet 16 and Kentucky isn't, then I guess it's Cal, right? But the fact that BYU, Kentucky, and Arkansas are all somehow better off now is absolutely wild. And that's probably doesn't happen if Kentucky makes a run last year.
That's correct.
So
that's correct.
So to see those dominoes is incredible. But the takeaway for me from Kentucky over Illinois is Lamont Butler. His shoulder is never going to be 100%, at least not this season. But he looked good. He looked like a player who's learning how to deal with it. His shot looked good. He was 4 or 5 from the field, 4 or 5 from the free throw line, had 5 assists. If he's getting used to playing with that shoulder injury, it changes the calculus on what Kentucky can accomplish. So they got to get past Tennessee for a third time. But, I mean, at this point, right, like they've done it twice. Who's to say they can't do it a third time? That's my takeaway, man. If Lamont Butler's playing like he played tonight, you can't put a ceiling on this Kentucky team, not with what they've accomplished this season.
Yeah, the effect of last year is incredible, and I think it's really, really cool. The fact that Cal, just an all-timer, leaving Kentucky for Arkansas.
By the way, great get, man. Great get yesterday. Like when you got the wife and daughter, man. I mean, just incredible. Like,
thanks, man.
Just great job.
They were awesome.
Great job.
You know, I think some of it came through in the column, but Ellen, his wife, was great. His daughter Megan was a star. Like, she was just clear-eyed, emotional, but like in a really good mood. They were caught on camera sobbing. They were awesome. And then, Cal did a number of interviews, and then we just walked from the arena all the way out to behind as he was getting ready to take the car service to take him away. And he was great. It was, his daughter, even more than Cal and his wife, really humanized the situation. And I appreciate that. If you haven't read it, feel free to seek it out. They were tremendous. But the fact that I think it's just awesome that you have Cal at Arkansas, and here he is after everything they went through. You have Kentucky get Pope, and he, year one, hits it like this. I mean, it's amazing. And then BYU, which hasn't been here since Jimmer, is also there after Pope left BYU. That's a really, really cool thing and a fun trigger. And this is going to, as you would probably expect, the fact that we have 4 schools that can say, hey, look what happened. We got our guy, in immediate dividends. There's no guarantee that any of these schools will be in the Sweet 16 next year, or they'll make 3 of the next 4 or 4 of the next 6 with these coaches. We don't even know that. But right away, they were able to flip their programs and rejuvenate. Michigan as well. Think about Michigan went from 8 wins last year into the Sweet 16, and I believe that's the fewest I think this is the record now. No team had won fewer games in 1 year and made the Sweet 16 the following year. I think Michigan just set that record as well. Really awesome stuff across the board there. Kentucky, by the way, is now 5-0 all time against Illinois in the tournament. Yeah, and they showed up. They were ready to go. They played their style. I said on HQ, you tell Kentucky they can win a game, this is what they want. They want to be in the 80s, keep teams in the 70s, within reason. Obviously, if you could tell them they could keep teams in the 50s, they do it, but that's just not how they play. And yeah, Kentucky now gets Tennessee. We'll do more preview stuff looking ahead, but Kentucky's going to try and be just the third team in the past 2 decades to beat the same team 3 times in the season, and that opponent being ranked in the top 10 every single time they did it. So the previous 2 wins for Kentucky over Tennessee, you've also in the top 10, and they're still technically in the top 10 as things stand here. For Illinois, real quick, program finishes 22-13. They didn't shoot well here. Brad Underwood still has this program operating on a top 25 level. I know it is frustrating for Illinois fans because, you made the Elite Eight last year, but it's kind of similar in some ways to Maryland, like Elite Eight last year. And then prior to that, the deepest run was 2005. Like, it had been a long time, and Underwood's gotten you to the tournament 5 straight years. It would have been 6 if we had a tournament in 2020, but you're going to lose Kasparis to the draft. Avicic, 7-1 guy, to be frank, right here, right now, don't know what his stock is and don't know what his situation is moving forward. You would think they can bring him back enough pieces to be really, really good again. But I know Illinois fans believe we have more than we are showing from a March perspective. Tournament's a beast. It can really bite you, and we'll see. But Underwood in general you're much better now than you were before him. But I know that programs that have big expectations, sometimes you get into this rhythm where it's like, okay, we're good, but can we not be better? Illinois fans, I think brighter days are still ahead. I think you're still in good hands with Brad Underwood. Let's keep it moving.